A man was born into a prestigious family but turned to the demon clan and became a traitor. He became a demon to save his childhood sweetheart. During the demon war, the heavenly demon was killed. The demons were defeated, and the man also became a captive. The girl demands of the man where the remnants of the demon are. The man, coughing incessantly, remains silent. The girl presses her sword against the man's throat. She presses him again. The severely injured man looks up at the girl. He recognizes the person before him. He is a disciple of the sword master. With a single strike, he slaughtered countless demons. During the great war of good and evil, he alone defeated the celestial demon. He is the divine sword. Wei Shuer grabbed the man's collar, demanding from him, "Where did the remaining demons go? If you have any humanity left." He shouldn't have said it. The man tries to speak, but his vocal cords are damaged. No matter what, he can't get a word out. Also, his heart remains still. Because of this stillness, he's unable to reveal the truth. Unaware of this, Wei Shuer keeps pressing him. As long as he speaks up, she's willing to use every means to save his life. Wei Shuer pleads with him to speak up, even tearfully begging him to say something. He thinks she might resent the demon, but it's more likely because she heard her fiancé was captured by the demon. He mocks this woman, known as the best martial artist, for begging him. Wei Shuer sees he still has this attitude. He was thrown out directly. Wei Shuer, trembling all over, said, "If I had known you were like this, I should have killed you the first time we met." She regretted not doing so. The man didn't know which first meeting Wei Shuer was referring to. In his memory, the first time he met Wei Shuer, she handed him a potato, but the man had a look of disgust. Wei Shuer appeared innocent and kind-hearted. It's only because the man is a traitor who has defected to the demon. His current state is also a consequence of karmic retribution. Wei Shuer also noticed the man writing something on the ground. The man was preparing to reveal the location where the demons were hiding. He struggled to suppress the stillness of his heart. A liquid sprayed from his mouth. He hasn't stopped taking action. The demon lord once said that if a man breaks his promise, he will die a violent death. This is a curse placed by the demon lord. He must not betray the cult. The man wants to explain to the girl that none of this was his choice, but there is no need for explanation anymore. He forced himself to endure the prohibition. He wrote down the roadmap. The demon's prohibition exploded within the man. The man's life gradually faded away. He thought of his sister, whom he couldn't protect well. Before she died, she told him to be happy. He remembered the poison queen who had poisoned many demons. The man once personally dealt with him, and a girl who died in front of him. Nangong Fair. Xiao Yangtian, born into a prestigious family, turned from a righteous man to a demon. Defeated in the battle between good and evil, he was subjected to interrogation and ultimately died. The girl in front of him asks if the man wants to eat potatoes. Xiao Yangtian still looks disgusted. He still doesn't know what's going on. Clearly, he should have broken the rule and died in Wei Shuer's arms. It all feels like going back in time, back to when he first saw Wei Shuer. Back then, Xiao Yangtian had broken Wei Shuer's potato, even stomped on the potatoes. He blamed Wei Shuer for bringing something like this before him. Xiao Yangtian even felt like all of this was a dream before dying. With a flushed face, Wei Shuer murmured, "It seems he doesn't like potatoes." Xiao Yangtian picked up a potato and assured her he would savor it. But as he took a bite, he burned his mouth on the hot potato. He couldn't believe the potato in his dream could be so hot. Wei Shuer teased Xiao Yang, "Your face is all red from the burn." A figure called out to the young master and arrived here. It was a warrior guarding their enemy. For a moment, Xiao Yangtian couldn't recall his full name. He saw that the young master had been burned. The guard immediately prepared to draw his sword on Wei Shuer. Xiao Yangtian ignored the guard's action and directly demanded the medicinal fruit from him. After taking the medicinal fruit, Xiao Yangtian handed it straight to Wei Shuer. The guard couldn't believe the young master would share anything with someone else. Xiao Yangtian remarked that she ate his potato, so this was a return gift. Wei Shuer gratefully accepted. "I could drool." At that moment, a voice called out to Wei Shuer. It was indeed Wei Shuer's grandfather. Seeing her grandfather, Wei Shuer immediately ran into his arms. Grandpa asked with concern if Wei Shuer was hurt. Wei Shuer pointed at Xiao Yangtian and said that he had given her a potato. Grandpa quickly pulled Wei Shuer close. He hurriedly bowed and apologized, explaining that his granddaughter is not sensible. Xiao Yangtian said it's fine. Thanks to his potatoes, they can fill their stomachs, and he handed over the medicinal fruit to show gratitude. Grandpa stared at the medicinal fruit in silence for a long time. Just as he was about to refuse, Wei Shuer gazed at the medicinal fruit with sparkling eyes. She reached out directly to take the medicinal fruit. Grandpa mentioned Wei Shuer and ran away. He said he couldn't accept such a valuable gift. Xiao Yangtian chased after him. He handed the medicinal fruit back to Wei Shuer again. Wei Shuer looked happily at the medicinal fruit. Saying this, she handed Xiao Yangtian a potato. A smile also appeared on Grandpa's face. He knew that Shuer had already found that person. The grandfather and grandson bid farewell to Xiao Yangtian. Xiao Yangtian smiled as he sent them off. After they left, Xiao Yangtian finally caught his breath. Xiao Yangtian knew that the old man he just saw was the leader of the martial arts alliance. He was known as one of the three strongest, the sword master Wei Xiaojun. Xiao Yangtian couldn't understand why the sword master would come to such a place. Even in dreams, he is afraid of the other party. Wei Shuer reluctantly bids farewell to Xiao Yangtian. The guard beside him reminds Xiao Yangtian that it's time to go back. Just when Xiao Yangtian thought the dream was finally ending, the guard took Xiao Yangtian back home. Xiao Yangtian could hardly believe what was happening. Xiao Yangtian speculates that if this isn't a dream, it likely has a lot to do with the stillness of the sky demon. A figure stepped in front of Xiao Yangtian. It was his second sister, Xiao Hongshu. She questioned Xiao Yangtian on why he wasn't running anymore. Xiao Yangtian knew that his second sister, Xiao Hongshu, looked down on him the most. Today was the day the family had returned. Xiao Hongshu warned Xiao Yangtian not to try any tricks. She even told him to get lost. Xiao Yangtian pushed her hand away. He stated that he was merely going where he was meant to be. He also said he'd apologize to the family head for his past mistakes. Second sister Xiao Hongshu glared fiercely at Xiao Yangtian. He released a powerful burst of energy. With a menacing stance, he approached Xiao Yangtian. The servants were too frightened to speak. Second sister Xiao Hongshu warned Xiao Yangtian not to pull any tricks. Otherwise, he would truly make him angry. Xiao Yangtian quickly stopped the other party because his father was coming back. With the sound of hooves approaching, the master of the house has returned. The demon who died from interrogation. This is Xiao Yangtian's first day after rebirth. Today happens to be the day of the return of the enemy's master. With just a glance, the master made Xiao Yangtian feel fearful. The family head learns from a servant that both family fleets are currently resting. The family head immediately orders the third fleet to see him at once. Xiao Yangtian still doesn't feel like he's truly alive, but his father's gaze continues to weigh heavily on him. The family head also orders the third son, Xiao Yangtian, to come to the family head's room alone after dinner. Hearing this, Xiao Yangtian is utterly shocked. Second sister Xiao Hong gives him a concerned look. That night, the banquet began. Due to the heavy atmosphere, Xiao Yangtian didn't even know if he was eating with his mouth or his nose. When Xiao Yangtian hoped someone would break this awkward atmosphere, the head of the family mentioned that he heard the second child has made some progress in martial arts recently. Second sister Xiao Hongshu modestly replied that she has already advanced to the third star. Even the head of the family praised the second child for having strength far beyond his years. Xiao Yangtian never expected his second sister would laugh. After his second sister, Xiao Hongshu, noticed Xiao Yangtian's gaze, she looked at him as if he were an insect, and her face instantly changed. At this moment, the head of the family mentioned whether the third brother had recently gone to the shopping district again. Xiao Yangtian explained that he was just out running some errands. The family head looked like he had more to say, but he left without finishing his sentence. Then the servant came to Xiao Yangtian's side and told him to go see the master tomorrow. That night, Xiao Yangtian felt that this should not be a dream. He should have returned. If he really has returned, then he can do many things in advance. For example, he could kill the celestial demon first. But this is an impossible task. It is said that only someone from the heavens can kill the sky demon. In his past life, Xiao Yangtian betrayed to the sky demon just to survive. He became a demon, barely clinging to life. Xiao Yangtian deeply regretted it. In his past life, he thought about it countless times. If he could be reborn, he would definitely choose a different life. Xiao Yangtian believes that sooner or later, the heavenly demon will be killed by Wei Shuer. He just needs to survive until the heavenly demon is eliminated. He must not repeat the same mistakes as in his past life. A surge of inner strength flows within Xiao Yangtian. Although he has only just begun training, Xiao Yangtian has still managed to gather his inner strength. But he exerted all his strength and could only gather inner strength the size of a mouse droppings. One can imagine how high the second sister's talent is to advance to 3 stars at this age. Xiao Yangtian practiced a unique technique of his enemy, the 9-eye firewheel technique. After reaching 4 stars, he can unleash red inner strength. After 7 stars, he can use inner strength for protection. But Xiao Yangtian has just reached 1 star. Xiao Yangtian wants to quickly rise to 2 stars. To avoid following the path of becoming a demon in his past life, Xiao Yangtian can only work hard to break through his limits. After cultivating to the point of exhaustion, Xiao Yangtian lies weakly in bed. If he continues to cultivate like this, he might end up going into madness. At this moment, Xiao Yangtian had already been in the 2-star stage for several days. Due to last night's exhausting training, he hadn't fully recovered by the morning. Barely dressed, Xiao Yangtian was preparing to go out for more training. As soon as he stepped outside, he encountered a familiar figure. At that moment, Wei Shuer was greeting him. Suddenly, on a certain day, the void shattered. Countless demons descended. People collectively referred to it as the Demon Mirror Gate. The major sects cultivated groups to combat the demons. That is the fleet. They have mastered the secret names of all the sects. sects. The families of the sects and their rivals control 5 fleets. Xiao Yangtian's older sister, Xiao Shifei, serves as the fleet captain of the 5th Fleet. The arrogant and overbearing Xiao Yangtian trained under her for half a year. At that moment, he saw someone familiar. This was also the second time Xiao Yangtian met Wei Shui in his past life. But this was half a year after the potato incident. Why did they meet again so soon? For a moment, Xiao Yangtian was stunned. Thinking he hadn't fully woken up, Xiao Yangtian prepared to go back and clear his head. He saw Wei Shui grab Xiao Yangtian's shirt. It seemed like she was saying something. A hand appeared and pulled him away. It grabbed Xiao Yangtian's hand. This person was his grandfather, the sword master Wei Xiaojun. He warned Wei Shui to be polite to the young master. Xiao Yangtian found it strange that the other party called him young master. He was also surprised about what was happening. The old man bowed to Xiao Yangtian and apologized. He explained that he was Wei Wen, the servant assigned to attend to the young master. Xiao Yangtian asked the other party, "Isn't this really Wei Xiaojun and Wei Shui?" They also introduced themselves as servants serving the young master. Xiao Yangtian was stunned for a few seconds before he understood. This must be an order from the head of the family. The more Xiao Yangtian thought about it, the more it fell off. He watched the lowly Wei Xiaojun sweeping the floor in his house. Wei Xiaojun even gave Xiao Yangtian a polite smile. Xiao Yangtian was most confused about why the lowly Wei would come to his house to do menial work. It's more important than Wei Xiaojun. It's still Wei Shui. We see Wei Shui wobbling along while holding a stack of clothes. A maid beside her advised her to take less, but Wei Shui insisted on doing it this way. She stated it was fine. Just after she said that, she kicked a stone. With a thud, he fell to the ground. His clothes were scattered everywhere. Wei Xiaojun could only watch the scene awkwardly. Xiao Yangtian, who witnessed everything, didn't understand. How could someone do that? Wei Shui had such high martial arts talent. Why did she always mess up when doing things like this? Wei Shui also noticed Xiao Yangtian staring at her. He quickly stepped forward toward Xiao Yangtian. Xiao Yangtian told him to hurry and get to work. Wei Shui insisted on following the young master at all times. Xiao Yangtian asked who said that. Wei Shui confidently replied that Grandpa said so. The nearby servants cheered for Wei Shui because they all wanted her to take the role of exclusive servant they didn't want. Xiao Yangtian asked, "He's the young master from a prestigious family. Is he really this casual about choosing his personal servant?" One Wei Shui is manageable, but then there's also that pesky Zun. It makes Xiao Yangtian feel even more pressured. Wei Shui confidently shrugs. She messes up Xiao Yangtian's neatly arranged clothes. Xiao Yangtian has to fix them himself again. I wonder if the head of the family knows the true identity of the other party. Yet he let them into the house. Xiao Yangtian is preparing to ask the head of the family what is going on. Wei Shui quickly followed him. Xiao Yangtian asked her to stay and learn how to work. Wei Shui could only nod in agreement with tears in her eyes. Swordmaster also happened to witness this scene. Xiao Yangtian is still a bit uncomfortable with Swordmaster's gaze. He decided to go talk to the clan leader alone. As he was leaving, he told Wei Shui he would bring back the medicinal fruit. He encouraged him to work hard. Wei Shui beamed with joy. Even Grandpa Wei Xiaojun could only sigh deeply. The clan leader was outside the door. Xiao Yangtian was still hesitating on how to start once inside, because in his previous life, Xiao Yangtian did not have a good relationship with his father. They basically never had a serious conversation. The family head suddenly spoke to Xiao Yangtian from behind. This startled Xiao Yangtian. Afterward, the family head took Xiao Yangtian to the inner chamber. The family head asked Xiao Yangtian if he had met the designated servant. Xiao Yangtian mentioned that he had already greeted them, but he did not know why they were assigned to him. The family head told Xiao Yangtian that this matter should wait until the time is right to be discussed. Xiao Yangtian suspects that the family head likely knows the true identity of the swordmaster, but still arranged for them to be his servants. The family head told Xiao Yangtian not to worry about such trivial matters, and instructed him to prepare to attend the Dragon Assembly. At first, Xiao Yangtian didn't remember what the Dragon Assembly was. A moment later, he recalled the Dragon Assembly incident from not long ago, when Ouyang Tian told the guards to just kill him. This way, I won't have to attend the Julong Assembly. The key issue is that Elderly is in charge of it this time. If I don't go, I might get beaten to death. Among all the family elders, Elderly is particularly strict with Xiao Yangtian, simply because Xiao Yangtian is the family head's only son. Whenever he has the chance, Elderly instructs Xiao Yangtian, even more than his own father, the family head. Elderly is fulfilling his duties, but in his past life, Xiao Yangtian was educated this way, and he still turned out to be useless. Xiao Yangtian asked the maid if everything was ready. It was time to prepare to set off. Two maids gathered around Wei Shui. They helped Wei Shui get ready. Seeing this made Xiao Yangtian blush. Xiao Yangtian had to admit that Wei Shui really looked beautiful at that moment. Wei Shui quickly stepped forward and told Xiao Yangtian that everyone said she was very beautiful. Xiao Yangtian proudly replied, "So what?" Wei Shui asked if young Master Qiu thought she was beautiful too. With a flushed face, Xiao Yangtian immediately ordered everyone to set off quickly. On the carriage, Wei Shuer excitedly leaned her head out of the window. Wei Shuer, who was sitting in a carriage for the first time, always thought horses were for eating. I didn't expect the horse could run so fast. Xiao Yangtian learned from the guards that this time, the dragon gathering would be held by the renowned Shenri merchant family in Shaanxi. After training all night, Xiao Yangtian decided to sleep for 2 hours. Beside him, Wei Shuer kept on endlessly explaining. That horse meat has a strange taste. Xiao Yangtian simply stuffed a medicinal fruit into Wei Shuer's mouth. With the fruit in her mouth, Wei Shuer instantly fell silent. A few hours later, Wei Shuer woke Xiao Yangtian. They had arrived at their destination. The market in Shaanxi was bustling with people. As soon as they got off the carriage, someone found Xiao Yangtian. This person was the vice president of the Chenri Trading Company. After a few pleasantries, Xiao Yangtian and the vice president were ready to head to the inn together. Along the way, Xiao Yangtian only hoped he wouldn't run into his second sister, Xiao Hongshu, but reality often doesn't go as one wishes. He happened to run into his second sister, Xiao Hongshu. Seeing Xiao Yangtian, Xiao Hongshu frowned in annoyance. Xiao Yangtian greeted her proactively. With a look of irritation, second sister Xiao Hongshu told him not to greet her. She warned Xiao Yangtian again not to disgrace the family. Xiao Yangtian replied indifferently, "Don't worry about hiding yourself until the dragon gathering is over." Remember how second sister Xiao Hongshu blared fiercely at Xiao Yangtian, scaring Wei Shuer beside her. She hurriedly hid behind Xiao Yangtian. Seeing Wei Shuer, Xiao Hongshu showed a look of disgust and questioned Xiao Yangtian if he was planning to do something sneaky again. Of course, Xiao Yangtian had no idea what the other party meant. Xiao Hongshu mentioned that he thought you had changed a bit, but in the end, you are still the same. After saying that, he closed the door, leaving Xiao Yangtian and the others looking confused. Xiao Yangtian asked the vice president of the Chamber of Commerce to take him to see the venue of the Julong Society. This was the first time Wei Shuer had seen such a vast place. It is said that businessmen like to judge financial strength by the scale of the venue, so each time the gathering venue is very spacious. Today is the day to reward the fleet. Tomorrow is the sword competition for selecting the fleet. Direct members of enemies don't need to participate in these. Xiao Yangtian, who came here with the mindset of watching a show, is still unaware that a figure has appeared behind him. A large hand reaches for Xiao Yangtian. Xiao Yangtian, realizing it's too late to hide now. The old man rubbed Xiao Yangtian's head. He asked why he didn't escape this time. He was elderly from the enemy's side. Xiao Yangtian explained that it wasn't what you said. If I hadn't come, I would have been torn apart. Elderly hurriedly denied that statement, but Xiao Yangtian was sure it was him who said it. Elderly was lecturing Xiao Yangtian in this way. Suddenly, Wei Shuer mentioned that bear meat tastes great. Elderly cast an unfriendly look at her. The look made Wei Shuer stammer in fear. Elderly's icy stare nearly brought her to tears. She quickly hid behind Xiao Yangtian, swearing off bear meat for good. Xiao Yangtian also told Elderly not to glare at her like that. Elderly asks Xiao Yangtian if the young girl is stingy. Xiao Yangtian quickly explains, saying it's clear from her clothing. She's a maidservant. Elderly drops his teasing tone and tells Xiao Yangtian to rest early. Tomorrow, he'll be watching the dragon battle. Xiao Yangtian, preoccupied with Wei Shuer, responds casually. Elderly made a threatening gesture, warning Xiao Yangtian that his life would be in danger if he tried to escape. Wei Shuer asked Xiao Yangtian, "Is Grandpa Bear going to eat people?" Xiao Yangtian responded that before being eaten, he'd take your life first. In the distance, Elderly looked at Xiao Yangtian and Wei Shuer. He still felt that Wei Shuer was no ordinary child. Today was the day of the Dragon Assembly. Xiao Yangtian arrived here with his guards. The various sects and rivals in Shaanxi have their own grievances. Anyone who can prove their identity is welcome to join the Dragon Society. Becoming a member of the fleet is an impressive achievement. Wei Shuer is still worried about whether Grandpa Xiong will suddenly show up and snap his neck. Xiao Yangtian reassures Wei Shuer, if Grandpa Xiong comes, just call the guards to deal with him. The guards say they don't have a way to handle Elderly either. Xiao Yangtian teased, saying that they could only sacrifice Shuer's life to stay safe. Wei Shuer was terrified by this joke. Wei Shuer pointed to the nearby bun cart and said, "Grandpa always said, it's better to die full than starve." The guards all thought Xiao Yangtian was too kind to the maid. Because Xiao Yangtian remembered the past life Wei Shuer, he was unsure how he should treat the present Wei Shuer. Even Gu Wei teased him about it. Xiao Yangtian still bought steamed buns for Wei Shuer, then quietly watched Xiao Yangtian defend himself. The guard noticed how attentive Xiao Yangtian was to the maid. He mentioned that Xiao Yangtian was nothing like the rumored spoiled young lords. Xiao Yangtian felt the guard was talking too much over a steamed bun. When he heard that the guard had only heard of him in rumors, he asked how long the guard had been in his service. The guard replied it had been about half a month. Xiao Yangtian then remembered that he must have just encountered his return not long ago. He didn't even know who among them had better luck. At that moment, a voice nearby caught their attention. A servant told the girl not to run around here, but his young master wasn't listening to this. The sound of the argument felt very familiar to Xiao Yangtian. The servant mentioned what to do if they encountered young Master Qiu. Xiao Yangtian thought to himself, it shouldn't be young Master Qiu himself. The more Ouyang Tian listened to this voice, the more familiar it became. He was still trying to comfort himself. It was just a familiar voice. As long as the person speaking isn't him, that's fine. Just as the girl turned her head, she saw the last person she wanted to meet. The girl and the servant were instantly stunned. Xiao Yangtian was also taken aback when he saw the other person's face. The guard found the other person's expression quite strange. He asked Xiao Yangtian if he knew who the person was. Of course, Xiao Yangtian knew who it was. The girl had long hair that reached her waist. Her pupils were black, and she wore a ring on her hand. There are distinct patterns on this ring. It represents the Peng family of Hebei. She is Xiao Yangtian's former fiancée. The Peng family of Hebei, one of the four major families, arranged a marriage with the prestigious Zhou family. Barring any surprises, Xiao Yangtian will be the next family head. The Peng family sees the engagement with the Zhou family as a good thing. The problem is that Xiao Yangtian used to cause too much trouble. But the Peng family didn't mind these minor issues. But it was really Xiao Yangtian's aggressive behavior that ended the engagement. The girl asks Xiao Yangtian what he is doing here. Xiao Yangtian retorts, asking the girl if she has something to do here. The girl indignantly replies that she came here for a reason too. Can't she come to Shaanxi? Xiao Yangtian appears indifferent. The girl scolds Xiao Yangtian for not saluting. Has he forgotten that she is older than him? Xiao Yangtian isn't angry. He quickly apologizes and calls her sister. He also tells Shuer he bought buns for her and to come quickly. Xiao Yangtian tells the girl that no matter what happened in the past, he still hopes she can happily stay here. Then, without looking back, he leaves. Xiao Yangtian's actions leave the girl at a loss. The girl didn't expect that running into the elder brother was already enough of a headache. Then she encountered Xiao Yangtian. The first time the girl saw Xiao Yangtian, it was you. Compared to before, it's a bit different. Upon their first meeting, Xiao Yangtian said the girl was just a child born of a concubine. So what was she worth? Curious, the girl grabbed Xiao Yangtian's collar. She demanded to know what Xiao Yangtian was talking about. Xiao Yangtian just maintained a smug expression. Angry, the girl punched Xiao Yangtian directly. The girl explained that she had endured a political marriage for her family, even though the other person had a terrible reputation. But for her family's interests, she put up with it. A servant tried to stop the girl, who had picked up a chair. The girl shoved the servant aside. Now, she didn't care about the engagement. She only wanted to beat up Xiao Yangtian. After that, the engagement was called off. He assumed Xiao Yangtian hadn't changed much from before. Xiao Yangtian naturally took the items from the servant's hands. He still couldn't believe that someone like Xiao Yangtian could suddenly become so mature. The girl saw Xiao Yangtian chatting and laughing with the servant. She felt that Xiao Yangtian might have really changed a bit. At that moment, a voice startled Xiao Yangtian. Several guards anxiously asked if Xiao Yangtian was hurt. Wei Shuer also asked with concern if Xiao Yangtian's steamed bun was damaged. A young man nearby was causing trouble. The young man shouted angrily that there was no time left. He said, "What if I get caught?" The manager heard this. He was even more determined not to let him join the Julong gathering. The young man kept insisting that he had to attend the Julong gathering. Xiao Yangtian knew that although everyone could participate in the gathering of dragons, people with unclear identities were not allowed to attend. The guards were worried that if they ignored it, it might lead to problems. Xiao Yangtian explained that this kind of matter would be handled by the rival dancers nearby. A rival dancer had just placed a hand on the young man's shoulder and warned him to back off. The young man executed a shoulder throw. He sent the dancer flying. The young man then told the staff that he proved his identity with strength. Could he participate in the gathering of dragons now? The staff denied that the young man and Xiao Yangtian happened to witness this scene. The guard asked Xiao Yangtian if he could take action now. Wei Shuer felt that the young man was too pitiful. Xiao Yangtian turned and left. He doesn't want to get dragged into strange things. This only made the argument between the staff and the young man more intense. The young man demanded the staff recognize his status. Why couldn't he be allowed in? The young man shouted, asking if they were looking down on the young master of the Peng family. Hearing this, Xiao Yangtian immediately turned his head. The girl once engaged to Xiao Yangtian also turned her head. The troublemaker in front of them was actually the young master of the Peng family from Hebei. Not long ago, our rivals held a gathering of dragons, attracting many martial artists to attend. Even the young master of the Peng family from Hebei came. The young master of the Peng family in Hebei graduated at the top from the Divine Dragon Hall, led by the Martial Arts Alliance. He's also the youngest young master in history, but he's melancholy and withdrawn. He even wanted to burn the token his family head gave him. Although the younger sister couldn't understand his thoughts, she reminded him that he could go out and have fun for a few days to relax his mood. He never expected that his brother would just disappear for months. The younger sister decided to go find him, so she chased him to Shaanxi and happened to hear someone claiming to be the young master of the Peng family from Hebei. The young man is still arguing with the staff, asking to join the Julong Society. Does he need to showcase the Peng family's unique skill, Heya, to be allowed in? From this, Xiao Yangtian also realizes that the young man might truly be the young master of the Hebei Peng family. To avoid getting caught up in strange matters, he decides to slip away quickly, but it was already too late. A large hand pressed down on Xiao Yangtian's head. It was Elderly who had arrived. Elderly remarked that this person looked strong. He decided to let him participate. The young man also greeted Elderly. He introduced himself as Peng Yuzhen, the young master of the Pang family. Even if Elderly spoke on his behalf, the staff still wouldn't let Pang Yuzhen attend the Julong assembly. Elderly recognized Pang Yuzhen right away from his build. He's most likely a direct descendant of the Pang family. Plus, the ring on his hand also confirmed his identity. Elderly mentioned that the Julong assembly is where rivals select fleet members. Why would the Pang family's young master join another family's fleet? Pang Yuzhen immediately replied that the Pang family members are boring. Elderly asked if he had the Pang family's permission. Pang Yuzhen smiled in response. It was precisely because I refused to agree. That's why I ran away from home. Xiao Yangtian even thought the other person was crazy. Elderly noticed that the other person's physique was very strong. He couldn't help but praise that the Pang family had indeed raised a flying dragon. His gaze inevitably turned to Xiao Yangtian. If only our family's good-for-nothing had half of your ability. The guard hurriedly asked if good-for-nothing referred to the young master. Wei Shuer also kept asking Xiao Yangtian what good-for-nothing meant. Xiao Yangtian told both of them to shut up directly, because if they kept talking, it would get hurtful. Xiao Yangtian knew Peng Yuzhen was indeed extraordinary. He would soon be known as a Dao brother. Wei Shuer and the guard continued to discuss what good-for-nothing meant. Pang Yuzhen's sister came looking for them. At this moment, Pang Yuzhen also noticed. He hadn't seen the person yet, but the punch arrived first. This punch sent Pang Yuzhen flying a few meters. This punch was delivered by Peng Yuzhen's sister. Pang Yuzhen asked the other party to stop first. He wanted to explain. In the end, he found he couldn't come up with a reasonable excuse. He could only beg the girl for mercy. The girl pinned Peng Yuzhen down and gave him a thorough beating. Pang Yuzhen quickly shouted for Elderly to save him. Elderly finally spoke up to stop the girl. The girl introduced herself as Peng Yaki. She then apologized to everyone for the family scandal causing trouble. She stated that Pang Jiawei would take responsibility for any losses. With that, she was ready to drag Pang Yuzhen away. But Pang Yuzhen looks serious and is determined not to leave, because Pang Jia is too boring. Pang Yaqian reminds her older brother to be more mature. Pang Yuzhen believes he should enjoy himself before becoming the head of the family. Although he doesn't want to be the head of the family, the rest of the family is a bunch of beasts, so even though it's a hassle, he will take on the position of head of the family. Xiao Yangtian asks Elderly if Pang Yuzhen should participate in the dragon gathering. Elderly considers that if they proceed, it could lead to a conflict between the Pang and Xiao families, so he decides Pang Yuzhen cannot participate, but he can't reject him outright. Elderly suggests that if Pang can defeat him, he may join the dragon gathering. Pang Yaqian knows it's impossible to defeat Elderly. Xiao Yangtian thinks the old man is probably senile. Elderly then stated that as long as he encounters him within 10 rounds, it will be fine. Confirming the rules, Pang Yuzhen immediately prepared to take action. Pang Yaqian feared that something unexpected would happen. She ordered the servants to capture her older brother, Pang Yuzhen, at once. Pang Yuzhen's figure transformed into a streak of light and appeared behind Elderly. He swiftly drew the servant's sword. With this sword, he struck directly at Elderly, but Pang Yuzhen was still too young. Elderly turned and threw a punch at Pang Yuzhen. The punch landed squarely on Pang Yuzhen's left cheek. Pang Yuzhen was sent flying from the impact. She lost consciousness on the spot. Xiao Yangtian hadn't expected this outcome. He thought Elderly would go easy on Pang Yuzhen, maybe just dodge her attacks, but Elderly said he never promised that. Xiao Yangtian immediately distanced himself. If the Pang family pursues the matter, they shouldn't trouble him. Elderly told Xiao Yangtian not to worry. If he dies, he won't die alone. Xiao Yangtian affectionately called out, Sister Yaqian, saying it was all Elderly's doing. Pang Yaqian thought it was already fortunate that her brother could lie there safely. He asked Elderly if he agreed to the duel just to stop his older brother's nonsense, but Elderly only found it interesting. Xiao Yangtian wondered how such a person became an elder. He was preparing to call Wei Shuer to sneak away together. Wei Shuer even thought Grandpa Xion was really handsome. When Elderly heard Wei Shuer complimenting him on his looks, he took a gift out from his pocket. Seeing Wei Shuer temporarily, he expressed that he liked Grandpa Bear from the very beginning. Elderly mentioned that he had prepared a gift for Xiao Yangtian as well. The host announced that the important competition everyone has been looking forward to is about to begin. That is the duel between the Chiu family and the Azure Twin Stars. The beautiful women will witness the showdown between Uncle Chiu Yan and the Chiu family's 9th young master, Xiao Yangtian. The gift Elderly prepared is for Xiao Yangtian to fight against second sister Chiu Hongshu. After all, it is the gathering of dragons hosted by the Chiu family. It wouldn't be good if people said it was boring. Xiao Yangtian felt that this old man arranged this match mostly for his own amusement, so he planned to forfeit halfway through. Elderly seemed to see through Xiao Yangtian's thoughts. If you forfeit, you know, he pointed to the unconscious young master of the Pang family who had been knocked down. Xiao Yangtian asked Elderly if he wanted to see him get beaten up and lose. Elderly countered, asking Xiao Yangtian if he really didn't plan to win. Xiao Yangtian had no intention of wasting energy fighting his sister. As the match was about to begin, Xiao Hongshu noticed that Xiao Yangtian didn't even have his sword. Only then did Xiao Yangtian remember that he rarely uses weapons. The flame will bow can be combined with various weapons, but it works best when paired with a sword or fists. Later, he found that fists suited him best. Xiu Hongshu teased him, saying there's not much difference between his sword and his fists. Misunderstanding the tease, Xiu Yangtian thought she had reached the same insight as he did. Second sister Xiu Hongshu spoke again, saying it was truly great to have this opportunity. Xiu Yangtian asked what opportunity allows one to legally beat up their younger brother, and it's in front of so many people. Just because you are a boy, you can naturally inherit the family head. He wishes Xiu Yangtian would die right away. Second sister Xiu Hongshu launched an attack towards Xiu Yangtian with a fierce offensive, but Xiu Yangtian easily dodged it. Second sister Xiu attacked Uncle Hong with a sweeping strike, but he dodged it again. He couldn't believe that a 3-star swordsman could be evaded by a 2-star opponent. Second sister Xiu's killing intent was too obvious. That's why Xiu Yangtian could avoid her attacks. He's constantly thinking about how to lose the match. He plans to take a hit and fall off the platform, but every one of second sister's strikes is too lethal. Just as Xiu Yangtian was momentarily distracted, second sister had already rushed to his side. She grabbed Xiu Yangtian's collar with her left hand and swung her sword at him with her right hand, but he managed to dodge. Xiu Yangtian took the opportunity to slip off his coat, which was immediately sliced in half. Xiu Yangtian urged second sister Xiu Hongshu to stop. It was because Zhao Zhao was fatal that hiding became easier. Second sister Xiu Hongshu again mentioned she's a girl. Even if she can't become the head of the family, she's still working hard. So why should someone who lives like garbage like you become the head? Second sister Xiu Hongshu even wrapped inner strength around her arrow. Xiu Yang realized the other side was more than just determined. Facing such a fierce attack, Xiu Yangtian managed to dodge again. The furious second sister threw a punch at Xiu Yangtian, barely avoiding this attack. Xiu Yangtian still exposed an opening. Second sister Xiu Hongshu seized the opportunity. She kicked at Xiu Yangtian, but it was blocked just in time. The kick created distance between them. Xiu Hongshu thought of Xiu Yangtian as a worthless person, lacking talent and drive. It would be better to just disappear. Even if he hears others call him useless, Xiu Yangtian remains unaffected. Sister 2, Xiu Hongshu strikes again. A horizontal blow comes. Xiu Yangtian seems to have given up. He does not evade this attack. Sister 2, Xiu Hongshu says you should just disappear like your mother. He couldn't believe Xiu Yangtian didn't dodge this time. Instead, he took the sword head-on. Xiu Yangtian grabbed his second sister, Xiu Hongshu, by the wrist and demanded to know what he was talking about. Xiu Yangtian's eldest sister earned the title of Black Phoenix at only 15, and by 20 had become one of the 5 fleet captains for the Qiu clan. Yet she still couldn't become the clan head, because the one destined to inherit the position is me, Xiu Yangtian. Xiu Hongshu, the second sister, didn't always dislike Xiu Yangtian. It was because Xiu Yangtian's mother used to be very gentle with him, but one day, she suddenly disappeared. Their father also forbade anyone from looking for her. Since then, Xiu Yangtian has been verbally abusive toward others, even committing harmful acts. Later, it was even rumored that he had assaulted the women in the family. Even so, the fact that Xiu Yangtian is the next heir to the family head has not changed, because every generation of family heads has been male. Even the outstanding elder sister, Heifeng, could not become the family head, let alone him. Therefore, Xiu Hongshu despises Xiu Yangtian greatly. The useless Xiu Yangtian is now holding his hand. Xiu Hongshu feels that Xiu Yangtian is very dangerous at this moment. He instinctively dodged to create distance. Little did he know that Xiu Yangtian was already behind him. He launched a direct punch at Xiu Hongshu. At that moment, in the audience of the Dragon Association venue, Pang Yaqian marveled at how strong Xiu Hongshu was at such a young age. Seeing someone his age so outstanding, he felt he could no longer rely on Pang Jia's reputation to show off. Pang Yaqian asked her brother if he could hear the conversation between Xiu Hongshu and Xiu Yangtian. Her brother, Pang Yuzhen, explained that Elder Li had suppressed his internal power around them. Even he couldn't hear their conversation. Pang Yaqian told her brother that she could stay at the Dragon Club until her face swells down. At that moment, a servant brought ice cubes for Pang Yuzhen to apply on her face. Pang Yaqian thought that Hei Feng's younger sister was indeed a genius. At such a young age, she had already reached 3 stars. Both her sword techniques and her control over internal energy were perfect. While eating the ice cubes, Pang Yuzhen felt that Hei Feng's younger brother was even stronger. Pang Yaqian looked at her brother in surprise. Pang Yuzhen's anticipated declaration. It seems the Pang family isn't all about Hei Feng. Pang Yaqian knows that this expectant look in her brother's eyes will disappear once he inherits the family leadership. Pang Yuzhen can even already see the outcome of this match. Such a close-range punch, yet Xiu Hongshu still dodged it. Sidestepping the attack, Xiu Hongshu seized the opportunity to slash at Xiu Yangtian with her sword. At this moment, Xiu Yangtian mentions that he knows his sister despises him. Because I am indeed just going through the motions. He can also understand what his sister is saying. So please understand me as well, sister. Xiu Yangtian's left hand began to circulate internal energy. Flame-like internal energy wrapped around his left hand. Even the reflection of the firelight appeared in Xiu Hongshu's eyes. Xiu Yangtian's punch, infused with internal energy, struck directly at his second sister, Xiu Hongshu. This punch landed squarely on Xiu Hongshu's face. Xiu Hongshu lost consciousness on the spot and collapsed. The match was declared over. Xiu Yangtian, who slipped away, knew he was in trouble. This match, which he was supposed to lose, ended up with him knocking out his second sister, Xiao Hongshu, with a 2-star strength. While Qiu Yangtian was in a daze, the bodyguard in Wei Shuer arrived. The bodyguard explained to him that the venue was in chaos. Qiu Yangtian knows the reason without having to think. It's because the family's waste suddenly defeated the next generation's star. The elder announced on the spot to change the subject. He declared that the Dragon Club would come to an end. Only then did the situation calm down. Qiu Yangtian decided to sneak away before the ceremony ended, to avoid running into elderly. Wei Shuer noticed that Qiu Yangtian's left hand was injured. This also proves that he still can't fully control his inner strength. Wei Shuer took out a bandage to dress Qiu Yangtian's wound, but Wei Shuer realized she didn't actually know how to bandage a wound. Fei Shuer, with tears in her eyes, said Shuer isn't good at these things, so, don't get hurt again. At that moment, Pang Yuzhen suddenly came closer, saying, I don't like ninth young master getting hurt either. After Pang Yuzhen and Qiu Yangtian introduced themselves, Pang Yaqian, hiding in the back, urged her brother to hurry home. Pang Yuzhen asked if Pang Yaqian felt a bit awkward about breaking off her engagement with Mr. Qiu. Now might be the perfect time to mend that relationship. Qiu Yangtian felt a headache coming on as he watched the overly familiar Pang Yuzhen. Pang Yuzhen wrapped his arm around Qiu Yangtian and said he used to think his only enemy was Heifeng, but didn't expect to encounter a strong one like you. Qiu Yangtian replied that getting close to someone like him wouldn't bring any benefits. Then Qiu Yangtian asked Pang Yuzhen if he knew his elder sister, Qiu Shifei. Pang Yuzhen confirmed that he did. The two of them have a very good relationship, but he's not sure how the other person sees it. Qiu Yangtian could tell they probably weren't close. After a few polite exchanges, he left, leaving Pang Yaqian alone. Qiu Yangtian asked if she had anything else to say. Pang Yaqian hesitantly brought up that it was a bit much to throw a chair at her on the day they called off the engagement. At that moment, Qiu Yangtian quickly apologized to Pang Yaqian. I acted so ridiculously back then. I really deserved to be punished, so you don't need to apologize. Hearing this, Pang Yaqian felt relieved. She smiled and accepted Qiu Yangtian's apology. As Pang Yaqian was leaving, she reminded Qiu Yangtian not to lose the things left by her elder brother. It was then that Qiu Yangtian noticed he had a token from the Pang family on him. Back on the carriage to the revenge family, Wei Shuer is still sleeping soundly on her maid. Xiao Yangtian can't recall any memories of facing off against his sister in a past life, let alone ever winning against her. Ever since Wei Shuer became his maid, everything has been different from his past life. Xiao Yangtian has no idea what kind of changes his small kindness to Wei Shuer might bring. Some things are bound to progress faster than expected. At that moment, Xiao Yangtian suddenly senses something. He ordered the guard to check the magic talisman immediately. The guard took out the magic talisman, but it showed no reaction. He reassured Xiao Yangtian that there was nothing wrong. Don't worry, if the magic mirror gate appears, the magic talisman will definitely light up. At that moment, the magic talisman in the guard's hand suddenly lit up. Wei immediately ordered the convoy to stop moving forward. They told everyone that the magic mirror gate has appeared. Everyone prepare for battle. Prioritize protecting the young master's safety. Xiao Yangtian got off the carriage and began to warm up. The guards advised Xiao Yangtian that it's very dangerous outside. Xiao Yangtian told the guards to save their breath for later. Focus on what's ahead right now. A green crack is opening in the void. Before long, the crack turned into a big hole. Dozens of glowing green monsters rushed out from inside. The green magic mirror portal has a low danger level, but it can be a bit troublesome. Xiao Yangtian had already activated his internal energy in advance. With one punch, he dealt with a monster. Then he dug out their magic stones. This is also a common weakness of the monsters. The magic stone is like a heart for magical creatures. Once the magic stone is removed, they will immediately die. Xiao Yangtian dodged and threw a punch, taking down another creature, but maintaining the Huoluan technique for so long is too exhausting. It had already left him utterly weakened. Seeing the remaining monsters rushing toward him, the guard arrived just in time to save Xiao Yangtian. With a single move, the guard took out all the monsters. Xiao Yangtian could hardly believe how powerful the guard was. The guard asked with concern if Xiao Yangtian was injured. Xiao Yangtian thanked the guard for arriving in time, saying it had saved his life. The guard breathed a sigh of relief, saying it was good that it was just a group of low-level monsters. If the young master got hurt, what would we do? Xiao Yangtian replied dismissively. As long as nothing is wrong now, that's all that matters. Xiao Yangtian still hadn't noticed that a dark smoke was rising from his right hand. The sudden pain caused Xiao Yangtian to fall to the ground. His roar even alerted the other guards. Xiao Yangtian had no idea what was causing this pain, but he quickly realized he was absorbing a demonic weapon. It seemed to be the technique of the heavenly demon, the demonic sect from Qianqi Palace in a past life, Huashan sect. A disciple from Huashan with a severed arm questioned why they would do such a thing. What did they do wrong? because every disciple of the Huashan sect had been slaughtered. Beg the indifferent heavens for an answer. The plum blossom appears no more. Is this your final message? At that moment, a head was thrown down from above. He immediately recognized it as the sect leader. A giant dragon's shadow appeared on the ground. A figure stood on the dragon and spoke. The plum blossom isn't so bad either. This figure leapt down from the dragon's head. Xiao Yangtian knelt before the other person. Although MANHUA didn't entertain me, it did provide some amusement. The demon ordered Xiao Yangtian to raise his head. At this moment, Xiao Yangtian's consciousness gradually returned. Xiao Yangtian noticed that the nine-eyed firewheel technique was absorbing demonic energy. This had never happened in his past life. What had happened before? Xiao Yangtian opened his eyes to see Wei Shuer and the guard. The surrounding monsters had also been dealt with. Xiao Yangtian said it was nothing. He might have injured himself in other places during the duel with his second sister. Xiao Yangtian didn't want anyone to know he could absorb magic artifacts. Wei Shuer pinched Xiao Yangtian's face and asked if he was seriously injured. Does it still hurt? Xiao Yangtian was so tormented that he was on the verge of losing his temper. Noticing this, the maid hurriedly dragged Wei Shuer away. The guard suggested that Xiao Yangtian should still go to the medical clinic for a checkup. Xiao Yangtian insisted he was completely fine, saying he just wanted to go home and sleep. He also noticed that the demonic energy within him had entirely disappeared. Even the demon stone from earlier had been drained, turning dull and lifeless. Xiao Yangtian has also made up his mind to accelerate the process and weaken the power of the celestial demon. The man, in order to protect his childhood sweetheart, surrendered to the demon clan and became a demon. But in the end, he was interrogated to death by his childhood sweetheart. Upon learning the truth, the childhood sweetheart sought revenge for the man and found the person behind the scenes. In the end, he was also killed by the mastermind. Xingmei's strong obsession brought him back to life. By the time the two met for the first time, Xiao Yangtian was wandering around the market in his enemy's territory. Seeing medicinal fruits, Wei Shuer couldn't move another step. Noticing Xiao Yangtian wasn't planning to buy the fruit for him, he started causing trouble. If he wasn't going to buy the fruit, why bring him out? Xiao Yangtian directly exposed it. Wei Shuer was using Grandpa's words as an excuse. She insisted on going out together. The guard asked Xiao Yangtian what he was doing at the shopping district. Because of the last monster attack incident, the young master still hasn't fully recovered. The guard suggested that it would be better for Xiao Yangtian to head back early. Wei Shuer kept staring at the medicine packet from afar. Xiao Yangtian indeed has matters to attend to on this trip. After looking around, he spots his destination. He tells Wei Shuer to head back first and the guards will accompany him. Wei Shuer uses her grandfather's words as an excuse and still refuses to go back. Xiao Yangtian tells Wei Shuer if she goes back now, he'll give her 10 medicinal fruits. Wei Shuer immediately asked for more steamed buns. Xiao Yangtian had no choice but to agree. The two happily reached an agreement like this. Xiao Yangtian went off to handle business with his guard. Wei Shuer happily hummed a song on her way home. Xiao Yangtian and his guard arrived at their destination. It was a desolate, run-down drum tower. The guard asked Xiao Yangtian why they had come to such a place. Not to mention how run-down the building is. This eerie, gloomy place just feels ominous. Xiao Yangtian even praised the guard's sharp intuition. Then, Xiao Yangtian pushed open a door. A few large men saw Xiao Yangtian was just a child and thought he was in the wrong place. Those men with hostile looks even prepared to attack him, and the guard immediately prepared to draw his sword. A man with a lantern asks Xiao Yangtian what he is doing here. Xiao Yangtian states that he is here for business. The man curses Xiao Yangtian for speaking thoughtlessly. He even threatens to cut out his tongue. Upon hearing this, the guard is also ready to take action. Xiao Yangtian directly stops him and tells everyone that the moment he stepped into the room, you should all know who you are by now. If you're not afraid of your enemies leveling this place, you'd better not make a move. Xiao Yangtian again ordered them to call out their division leader. Upon hearing Xiao Yangtian mention the division leader, the man felt Xiao Yangtian was being unreasonable. A group of strong men grabbed their weapons and immediately surrounded Xiao Yangtian. The guards were ready to draw their swords at any moment. Xiao Yangtian mockingly said, "You don't seem very polite either." The man chuckled. Then he ordered his men to attack immediately. A group of burly men charged at Xiao Yangtian. The bodyguard dealt with them in one strike. He even held his sword to one of their necks. The man hadn't expected that this young master had such a bodyguard with him, but he can't bring him in front of the division chief. When he didn't know what to do, the division chief sent an order. Seeing that the other party couldn't reach a conclusion in a short time, Xiao Yangtian was prepared to have the guards take care of them all. The big man told Xiao Yangtian that the division chief wanted to see him. Xiao Yangtian also ordered the guards to put away their knives and indicated that this would be fine for now. The guard asks what happened. Xiao Yangtian explains that he originally planned to go to the beggar's sect, but there was a little problem along the way. Xiao Yangtian analyzes that the beggar's sect is a righteous group. If they are made to do dirty work, it could cause trouble. If the beggar's sect has the strongest intelligence among the righteous, then this place has the strongest intelligence among the wicked. This is the afternoon gate. Xiao Yangtian followed the man to a hidden location. A woman introduced herself as Do Yunxiu, the branch head here. She apologized to Xiao Yangtian for the earlier rudeness. Xiao Yangtian didn't waste any time. He directly asked if he could take the commission. Do Yunqiu asked Xiao Yangtian why he didn't go to the beggars gang. Instead, he came to them, the woman. Xiao Yangtian explains that there are some things the beggars sect cannot handle. He questions how many times the other side needs confirmation. Do Yunqiu mentions that because of young Master Qiu's status, they must handle matters with caution. Xiao Yangtian doesn't want to say more. He asks again if they can take on the task. Do Yunqiu replies that as long as the price is right, there's no reason to refuse. Xiao Yangtian took out a portrait. He is looking for a boy around 10 years old. Do Yunqiu looked at the portrait again and again. He expressed that this job might be impossible to take, although the client is also a child. Asking them to find another child might be a bit difficult. Xiao Yangtian immediately shared the news about the Lord of Woman. It's just the commission fee. Upon hearing this, everyone drew their swords. A group of people charged at Xiao Yangtian. The guard blocked all of them with a single sword. Dao Yunqiu questioned Xiao Yangtian with a dark expression on his face, asking how he knew about this. Xiao Yangtian replied with a smile. He didn't come here to play a question and answer game. Dao Yunqiu confirmed the authenticity of the information with Xiao Yangtian. Xiao Yangtian said if he wasn't willing, he'd go to the beggar clan himself and share information about the nameless alliance leader. Dao Yunqiu, left with no choice, had to agree with Xiao Yangtian and asked how long it would take to see results. Zhao Yunqiu promised it could be done in 3 months. As Xiao Yangtian was leaving, he told Zhao Yunqiu to return and exchange new information once it was found. But just before leaving, he noticed they were still hesitant about it, so he told them about a mountain range. This is the deposit. After Xiao Yangtian left, the man still doubted the authenticity of his intel. Dao Yunqiu thought that since he even knew about the sect master's disappearance, they had no choice but to believe him. Besides, judging from the strength of his escort, Dao Yunqiu suspected that the head of the enemy family might also be involved. At this moment, Dao Yunqiu also tore off the human skin mask. The man asked if it was okay to take it off. Dao Yunqiu replied, "Anyway, no one is watching." The characteristic of the lower Wu sect is that they do not follow the sect leader or have faith. That's why he dressed like this. He was afraid of being backstabbed by others. He silently repeated his father's name in his mind. Xiao Yangtian also walked out of Xiaowu Gate. He was relieved that this intelligence matched his past life. Zhu Yangtian knew that the leader of Xiaowu Gate had been imprisoned in the Haya Palace 5 years ago. This led to a battle between Xiaowu Gate and Haya Palace. Due to the intervention of the Martial Alliance, Haya Palace was destroyed. The leader of Xiaowu Gate also died in the battle. The Xiaowu sect was nearly annihilated in the end. Xiao Yangtian knew the leader of Xiaowu sect had been captured, but he didn't know Black Crow's exact location. Xiao Yangtian went to the Xiaowu sect to find someone who would eventually become a leader in the demonic cult. He was known as the mastermind of the cult, named Zhuge He. Xiao Yangtian planned to eliminate him early, because his scheme was so tricky that even Wei Shuer found it challenging. At that moment, the guard mentioned that Xiao Woman's intelligence capabilities were really poor. It actually took 3 months to find one person. By the time they found the person, it would probably be summer. At that moment, Xiao Yangtian thought of something else. The treasure of the Jinchuan Yin family was also discovered at that time. It was piled high with a large amount of gold and silver treasures. The most crucial part was the priceless elixir. Those who consumed the elixir eventually became demons. By surrendering to the demon sect, they further strengthened the power of the celestial demon. Considering that the treasure is located in Sichuan, it's really too far from Shangxi. We can only give up. Realizing this, Xiao Yangtian decided to buy some medicinal fruits and then head home. Xiao family inner courtyard. Elderly cleared his throat. To Wei Shuer's grandfather, respect. Wei Xiaojun said that the leaves in front haven't been swept clean. Elderly again mentioned that Yangtian came back so early. It turns out it was because of you, this old servant. Wei Xiaojun chuckled a few times. He directly broke the broom. He even picked up the broken broom and asked Elderly to help sweep the floor. Elderly hurriedly waved his hand to refuse. Sitting beside him, Wei Xiaojun asks Elderly why he came all this way to visit an old rival. Senior, you must have noticed as well. 3 months ago, that kid was someone who would run away even from basic stances. Now he's even managed to defeat his stronger sister. Elderly says such a talent cannot be left unchecked. Wei Xiaojun reflects that, in his entire life, he's never seen anyone grow at such a rapid pace. He guessed that something had mostly happened to Qiu Yangtian. If the great elder knew about this, he would most likely take action. On the other side of the Qiu family's inner courtyard, Wei Shuer met a boy for the first time. The boy asked Wei Shuer if she wanted to come over to him. He also said he could make Wei Shuer happier. This story starts from last night. Wei Shuer often has strange dreams. In the dream, Wei Shuer wields a sword, hurting people at will. Even if someone dies by his sword, he remains indifferent. The sword he holds once belonged to his grandfather. In the dream, Wei Shuer has a head of white hair. But today, he had a particularly disturbing nightmare. Wei Shuer entered a house and fought fiercely with a group of people. After that, Wei Shuer encountered someone. In the dream, Wei Shuer questioned them, asking why they did it. That person pierced Wei Shuer's body with a sword. Severely wounded, Wei Shuer was on the verge of death. At that moment, he only wanted to apologize to someone. "I'm sorry, Tian." Wei Shuer then woke up from the nightmare. For some reason, when Shuer woke up, she wanted to see the young master. Xiao Yangtian learned from a maid that the young master might be at the training grounds, but there was no sign of him there. Only a stranger they didn't recognize, who said he would make Shuer even happier, though Shuer was already happy by the young master's side. Just then, but the young master appeared with a fierce expression. Seeing this, Wei Shuer immediately hid behind Xiao Yangtian. Xiao Yangtian first stated that Wei Shuer was his maidservant, and then demanded to know who the other person was. Seeing the person in front of him blushing, Xiao Yangtian knew he was up to no good. The man sincerely apologized to Xiao Yangtian and introduced himself as Xiao Juai. I came here to spar with Xiao Yangtian, who shares the same bloodline. Without a second thought, Xiao Yangtian refused. Xiao Juai questioned if Xiao Yangtian was afraid of him. To everyone's surprise, Xiao Yangtian casually admitted he was afraid. Xiao Juai immediately mocked Xiao Yangtian for being timid, a little coward. Xiao Yangtian replied that he was right on target. He admitted that he was indeed timid. Previously, when practicing with second sister, a big disaster occurred. He definitely didn't want to experience that feeling again. As he spoke, he pulled Wei Shuer and wanted to leave. Elderly, who suddenly appeared, also advised Xiao Yangtian to agree to spar with the other party. Xiao Juai greeted Elderly. Xiao Yangtian was surprised that Elderly actually knew this person. Elderly mentioned that Xiao Juai is the grandson of the Grand Elder. At that moment, Xiao Yangtian also thought they indeed resembled each other a bit. Xiao Juai mentioned he wanted to spar with Xiao Yangtian, but he seemed quite afraid. Xiao Yangtian thought he was probably here to compete for Wei Shuer, or perhaps acting on the elder's orders. Xiao Yangtian immediately suspected this guy might have been sent by the elder to test his strength. The elder's ambition was considerable, which is why he supported putting him, a good-for-nothing, in the position of family head. However, the so-called good-for-nothing Xiao Yangtian unexpectedly defeated the genius Qiu Hongshu, so the Grand Elder's plan went off track. He found someone to test his strength, or to suppress him. Xiao Yangtian again expressed that he had no intention of sparring. He knew he wouldn't win, so there was no need to fight. But Elderly thought Xiao Yangtian might not necessarily lose. Xiao Yangtian mentioned the opponent was even stronger than second sister. Besides, he doesn't want to get involved in the family conflict. Saying this, he took Wei Shuer's hand, ready to leave. At that moment, a hand grabbed Wei Shuer. The owner of that hand was Qiu Juai. Lord Qiu told Wei Shuer that Xiao Yangtian was unworthy of her. He then urged Wei Shuer to give up on Xiao Yangtian and choose him instead. An enraged Xiao Yangtian demanded he let go and fight him immediately. It seemed the duel was about to begin. Xiao Yangtian regretted agreeing to sparring practice. Elderly told Xiao Yangtian that sparring with 5 different people would help him improve his skills. Seizing the opportunity, Xiao Yangtian requested that, win or lose, Elderly agree to one of his demands. Elderly immediately refused. He reminded Xiao Yangtian that if he lost, it would be disadvantageous for him to become the head of the family in the future. Xiao Yangtian replied that he didn't want to become the head anyway. Elderly hadn't expected that Xiao Yangtian truly didn't want the position. Xiao Yangtian directly threatened Elderly that if his demands weren't met, he would simply lie down and admit defeat. Elderly, left with no choice, had to agree to Xiao Yangtian's request, but only if he could win the sparring match. At this moment, Xiao Juai mentioned, feeling a bit sorry for young Master Qiu, because last year you were too harsh in your duel with young Master Qiu. It left you bedridden for a month. Returning with a fresh start, Xiao Yangtian has long forgotten such distant matters. Xiao Juai believes Xiao Yangtian's victory over the second miss was merely coincidental. He would never want a weakling to take the position of family head. Even faced with such mockery, Xiao Yangtian remains unfazed. Xiao Juai also told Elderly that if he were to win, he also wanted something. Elderly approved Xiao Juai's request and asked him what he wanted. Xiao Juai pointed out that he wanted the maid beside him. Hearing this, Xiao Yangtian's anger surged. The eldest elder laughed and agreed to the request. Then he immediately announced the start of the couplet challenge. Both of them unleashed their inner strength. Stalemate. Xiao Yangtian reminded Xiao Juai what he was waiting for to make a move. Xiao Juai explained that the weaker should attack first in a duel. In fact, Xiao Juai had already done his utmost to withstand the internal energy unleashed by Xiao Yangtian. He couldn't believe how strong Xiao Yangtian's internal energy was. At that moment, Xiao Yangtian suddenly retracted some of his internal energy. Xiao Juai thought Xiao Yangtian's internal energy was nearly depleted. Xiao Yangtian confirmed with Xiao Juai if he really wanted him to collapse first. Once confirmed, Xiao Yangtian swiftly moved and appeared right behind Xiao Juai. Xiao Juai hadn't even reacted yet. He kicked at Xiao Juai, but Xiao Juai still dodged the kick. Xiao Juai even mocked him for being too slow, unaware that Xiao Juai's right hand was already channeling inner strength. The punch landed hard on Xiao Juai's face. Xiao Yangtian seizes the opportunity and kicks mid-air. This kick lands directly on Lord Xiu's face. Red liquid drips onto the ground with a splat. Blood spills from Lord Xiu's mouth. Xiao Yangtian doesn't attack again and instead gives him a chance. Lord Xiu admits he underestimated him. Standing up, Lord Xiu resumes his stance. Xiu Yangtian's internal energy can only last for half a quarter of an hour. He must end the fight quickly. Xiu Juai assumed a stance. He prepared to unleash the 9 dragons devouring the black sword. Xiu Yangtian knew the weakness of this move. He just needed to pay attention to his sword draw. The sword wrapped in flames sliced through the air. Xiu Yangtian simply sidestepped to avoid the strike. Xiu Juai turned around and struck out a few swords, but they were all dodged by Xiu Yangtian. Xiu Yangtian noticed it. Although Xiu Juai's moves were continuous, there were also significant weaknesses. As long as he was interrupted, he wouldn't be able to continue. Xiu Yangtian placed his right hand on his chest and circulated his internal energy. Unaware of this, Xiu Juai continued his attack. Xiu Yangtian released his internal energy from his chest. The heat generated by this internal energy directly impacted Xiu Juai. Xiu Juai was still unaware of what this heat was about. Xiu Yangtian seized the opportunity and punched Xiu Juai in the stomach. This sent him flying. Xiu Juai lost his fighting capability on the spot and couldn't move. Xiu Yangtian retorted, "Do you know what I hate the most? Whether it's the position of the head of the family or anything else, nothing matters. What I hate the most is that you dare to touch something you don't deserve. This person in front of me actually wants to reach for something he can never obtain." Xiu Yangtian is prepared to crush one of his hands, to rid him of that thought. Just as he was about to make his move, Elderly noticed this and stopped Xiu Yangtian. "Let it end here." Afterward, Elderly mentioned that Xiu Yangtian had gone too far. Wasn't he afraid of the great elder's retaliation? Xiu Yangtian replied that the man had gotten up and walked away himself. It probably wasn't a big deal. Besides, he wasn't aiming to become the clan leader. Offending the great elder didn't matter to him. Elderly immediately scolded Xiu Yangtian for speaking such nonsense. Xiu Yangtian felt that anyone who wanted to be the clan leader could have it. He asked Wei Shuer if she wanted to be the boss. Wei Shuer replied that as long as there's food, she would want to be the boss. Xiu Yangtian joked that Wei Shuer would be more suited to be the family head. Then he wondered when Wei Shuer started learning swordsmanship. As a disciple of the swordmaster, she does housework every day, and he hasn't seen her practicing swordsmanship. The Wei Shuer from his past life wasn't this foolish. For a moment, Xiu Yangtian couldn't recall the exact time he learned swordsmanship. Wei Shuer asked Xiu Yangtian if he hit his head during the sparring just now. He asked if the young master could make him the boss before he died. Xiu Yangtian couldn't help but punch him on the head. At that moment, Elderly stood up, suggesting they discuss the head of the family next time. Xiu Yangtian quickly called Elderly back. He smiled and asked what to do about the previous agreement. Elderly immediately asked whether it was money or food. Xiu Yangtian promptly denied it. He definitely wouldn't make such a simple request. Xiu Yangtian suggested that Elderly take him to Sichuan. Elderly let out a long sigh. He confirmed with Xiu Yangtian that going to Sichuan was fine. Xiu Yangtian thought the other party would refuse. Elderly thought Xiu Yangtian was about to make some astonishing request. Xiu Yangtian felt this would surely be difficult to manage. After all, Sichuan wasn't the enemy's territory. Letting the enemy's only son run around freely would definitely not be allowed. So there must be an important reason for him to go out. Elderly suggested Xiu Yangtian attend the Tang Military Expo. Xiu Yangtian then recalled that the Tang Military Expo is a yearly exhibition hosted by the Tang family, inviting prominent families to showcase their weapons. Actually, it doesn't matter whether I participate or not, as long as I can use this as an excuse to go out. Upon realizing this, Xiu Yangtian immediately changed his mind. He directly asked Elderly for money. Elderly acted as if he hadn't heard and said, "Oh, so you want to set off right away." Xiu Yangtian then said that money wouldn't do. Then, he asked for a different elixir. Upon hearing this, Elderly excitedly said he would arrange for him to go to Sichuan as soon as possible. Xiu Yangtian hurriedly said he wanted to cancel his previous request. He said anything would be fine. Elderly shouted that he'd send him to Sichuan immediately. Xiu Yangtian asked if he should prepare first, and maybe report in or something. Moments later, the servants had already prepared the carriage for Xiu Yangtian's trip to Sichuan. He saw that Master Wei Xiaojun asked Wei Shuer to stay home with him, and with that, Xiu Yangtian set off for Sichuan. Elderly also asked Xiu Yangtian to go and come back quickly. Wei Xiaojun urged Elderly to hurry up and get to work. Old people working. Shouldn't young people help out? Elderly could only respond in agreement. Elderly then mentioned that it was just the two of them left. Should they listen to some of their own complaints? A few days ago, an enemy's family had asked him about the medical fairy. It seems he has been entrusted to find the medicine immortal. Elderly asked Sword Master Wei Xiaojun why he is looking for the medicine immortal. Wei Xiaojun remained silent about this. Elderly then said that if the senior does not want to speak, then let's talk about something else. Isn't your granddaughter named Wei Shuer? He doesn't seem to be human, right? What exactly is that child? Several flying swords appeared beside Sword Master Wei Xiaojun as a warning. Elderly Jioluan, you've crossed the line. Watch your words. Elderly went on about how every creature has its limits, and no one is an exception. But that child shows no sign of any limit at all. Nothing can possibly heal that child. You should know this isn't an illness. Just as Elderly was about to continue speaking, Sword Master stopped him and contradicted him. That child is human. Elderly realized that if he continued, he would only face trouble, so he had no choice but to turn and leave. Sword Master Wei Xiaojun believes that even if he is not human, as long as he can teach him what he lacks as a human, it will be enough to ensure Schwer can grow up smoothly. He is even willing to give up his life. A few hours later, Sword Master discovered that Wei Schwer was missing. Not long ago, Xiao Yangtian was sent to Sichuan by Elder Li. The convoy that set off 10 days ago is about to arrive in Sichuan. The maidservants and guards are still preparing dinner. At this moment, Xiao Yangtian is still diligently practicing. Suddenly, a loud boom is heard. A burst of internal energy is released. Exhausted of internal energy, Xiao Yangtian collapses weakly on the ground. After more than 10 days of training, Xiao Yangtian realizes that the improvement of his internal energy is still too slow. He must think of other ways to quickly enhance his internal energy. Absorbing the magic stone to enhance inner strength, like last time, would be a good idea. But considering it's a demonic technique, it's best not to use it lightly. He doesn't want to follow the same path he once did as a demon. Just then, a voice caught Xiao Yangtian's attention. Xiao Yangtian quickly asked what was happening. The maids, frightened, had jumped off the carriage. Xiao Yangtian lifted the carriage curtain. They discovered Wei Schwer crawling out from inside. The funny thing is, he was scratching his head with a silly grin. To explain, we have to start from the beginning. Wei Schwer's grandfather noticed that Master Wei Xiaojun wouldn't let Wei Schwer go to Sichuan. Wei Xiaojun's reason was that he worried no one would be around to manage Wei Schwer if he caused trouble. He even told Wei Schwer to hurry and help the young master with his luggage. As he helped in the carriage, Wei Schwer thought the young master might be gone for a month. A voice echoed in Wei Schwer's mind. She looked around but found nothing. Suddenly, a hand appeared and gave Wei Schwer a push. It shoved her directly into a crate filled with cargo. Wei Schwer thought someone was playing a prank. A pair of hands reached out toward her. Slowly, she began to lose consciousness, and there she lay, asleep in the cargo box. It sounds like this voice is saying sorry to him. Next, I'll leave it to you. Wei Schwer then set off to Sichuan with Xiao Yangtian. Wei Schwer confidently told everyone that this is how things were. Xiao Yangtian, the guard, and the maid all stared at him blankly. Wei Schwer thought they hadn't heard him clearly. He told everyone again that this was the truth, and no one believed he had been bewitched by a ghost to get into the carriage. All the way, Wei Schwer kept babbling on. Seeing the owl reminded him of things he had eaten before. Apparently, they were quite chewy. He's even eaten bats. Xiao Yangtian was so shocked that he immediately confiscated his medicinal fruit. He wanted to send Wei Schwer back to the Qiu family, but now they were too far from Shangxi, so there was nothing he could do. Wei Schwer even wanted to trade insects to get the fruit back. Xiao Yangtian was so angry that he directly threw away the medicine fruit. This made Xiao Yangtian want to send Wei Schwer back even more. At that moment, Xiao Yangtian seemed to sense something. He quickly told the guard that a monster had appeared. The guard immediately ordered the convoy to stop. Xiao Yangtian sensed that there were 4 monsters. One of the monsters was killed by a single strike. Xiao Yangtian then sensed that only 3 monsters remained. It quickly turned into 2. The only remaining monster charged towards the carriage where Xiao Yangtian was. As Xiao Yangtian prepared to deal with it by channeling his inner strength, he saw a figure appear behind the monster. This person resolved the monster instantly. He was still explaining to the guards that he hadn't handled the monster properly while going out alone. Wei Schwer waved to this person. Xiao Yangtian also noticed this person. Seeing this person reminds him of bad things. The girl asked if he wanted to go to Sichuan with her. She introduced herself as Nangong Feier. Xiao Yangtian really couldn't understand why this crazy person wanted to go to Sichuan. In Xiao Yangtian's memories from his past life, a crow was pecking at a corpse. Nangong Feier stood alone among the corpses. Xiao Yangtian asked him to confirm how the others were doing. Nangong Feier asked the leader what he said. Xiao Yangtian mentioned that the leader wanted me to take you back, but you would definitely run around like crazy. Nangong Feier directly called out Xiao Yangtian. The second half of that was about his family. Xiao Yangtian asked Nangong Feier to come with him. At this moment, Nangong Feier was still deciding whether to go left or right. Xiao Yangtian told Nangong Feier not to cause any trouble. Just follow him. Nangong Feier asks if the 3 supreme beings are very strong. Xiao Yangtian directly warns him not to do anything extra. The 3 supreme beings' opponent is the sect leader. Nangong Feier asks again just how strong the 3 supreme beings are. How do they compare to him? Are they stronger than the sect leader? This series of questions is making Xiao Yangtian very irritated. He threw a fireball directly at Nangong Feier. He cursed, calling Nangong Feier a complete lunatic. Nangong Feier split the fireball in half at first sight. Then she questioned Xiao Yangtian, asking if he wanted a fight. Xiao Yangtian could only sigh deeply. He then told Nangong Feier she was going the wrong way. He instructed her to follow him. Nangong Feier was about to ask something else. Xiao Yangtian warns Nangong Feier that if she asks about the 3 masters again, he'll kill her. Nangong Feier says taking this path will be faster. Xiao Yangtian can't help but curse, wondering what nonsense she's talking about. Just like that, Xiao Yangtian arrives at the destination in a day. Nangong Feier arrives at the destination 4 days later. Now, Nangong Feier asks Xiao Yangtian if he's going to Sichuan, and if he can take her along. Xiao Yangtian flatly refused. He even said the convoy isn't heading towards Sichuan. The key issue is, we don't even know if the lady is truly from the Nangong family. Hearing this, Nangong Feier said, I see. her expression suddenly changed, and a thunderous internal energy began to coil around her. This powerful force surged straight into the sky. Xiao Yangtian quickly hid Wei Shuer behind him and prepared to draw his sword. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion. Nangong Feier explained that because she couldn't yet fully control this move, this was all she could show. She asked if this was enough to prove she came from the Nangong family. Xiao Yangtian had to admit that she truly was from the Nangong family, but the convoy cannot travel with someone who uses such dangerous martial arts. Night. Nangong Feier sat alone by the campfire, roasting a large frog. Shuer discovered Nangong Feier roasting the frog. Xiao Yangtian couldn't understand. He had already declined Nangong Feier's request to travel together, so why was he still following behind the carriage? Now he could only pretend he didn't exist. Xiao Yangtian also instructed Wei Shuer not to talk to Nangong Feier. Unbeknownst to him, Wei Shuer had already run over to Nangong Feier's side to help with the frog skinning. Xiao Yangtian grabbed Wei Shuer. He asked her what she was doing. Wei Shuer explained that her sister wanted to eat frog, and Shuer was helping. Noticing Nangong Feier's gaze, Xiao Yangtian sighed deeply. Xiao Yangtian acknowledged that he knew the young lady was a disciple of the Nangong family. But I don't understand why the Nangong family would let their eldest daughter go out alone. Nangong Feier explained that she set out with everyone else, but got lost along the way. Xiao Yangtian mentioned, "We all said we weren't going to Sichuan, so why did you still follow?" Hearing this, Wei Shuer looked a bit surprised. She glanced at Xiao Yangtian, then looked at Nangong Feier. With a look of shock, she questioned, "Aren't we going to Sichuan?" Right now, Xiao Yangtian only regretted not sending him back sooner. Xiao Yangtian had to tell Nangong Feier, "If you want to follow, suit yourself, but don't do anything unnecessary." Nangong Feier introduced herself again and asked Xiao Yangtian to say his name as well. Xiao Yangtian thought for a while and decided to introduce himself as Qiu Juai. 2 days later, Xiao Yangtian, under Qiu Juai's name, did something that betrayed him. Along the way, Wei Shuer clung to Nangong Feier, chatting non-stop. Xiao Yangtian ordered Wei Shuer to get into the carriage quickly, but she insisted on pulling Nangong Feier along with her. Of course, Xiao Yangtian didn't want too much contact with her. Xiao Yangtian asked the guards how much longer until they reached Sichuan. The guard explained that at the original speed, it would take 1 day. Now it needs 3 days. The guards persuaded Xiao Yangtian to let Nangong Feier get on the carriage. "What do you think?" Xiao Yangtian thought for a moment. He decided to find a village to rest. There was still 1 day's journey left to reach Sichuan. Xiao Yangtian and the others arrived at a village. They planned to take a break. Wei Shuer insists on sleeping with Nangong Feier. Xiao Yangtian reprimands Wei Shuer, telling her to get off Nangong Feier's back. A noble family's young lady carrying someone else's servant is completely inappropriate. Wei Shuer tilts her head defiantly, refusing to get down. A group of people dressed like Nangong Feier rushes over. A creepy white-haired boy is still calling for his sister. He urgently asks where she went. Nangong Feier apologetically explains that she got lost. The white-haired boy reminds Nangong Feier why they shouldn't walk tied together. Nangong Feier explains that it would be too embarrassing. The white-haired boy asks again who is on her back. For Shuer, she introduces herself as Shuer. Next to her is the young master. Xiao Yangtian immediately recognizes the other as the former, Wuling Wujian from the previous generation. Now, it's the Thunder Dragon, Nangong Qingjun. Xiao Yangtian introduced himself as Qiu Zhuanya and expressed that it was an honor to meet Leilong. Nangong Qingjun scratched his head and humbly replied with a laugh, "You're too kind." His expression suddenly changed as he questioned Xiao Yangtian and the others about why they were with his sister. Xiao Yangtian explained that they ran into each other on the way to Sichuan. Nangong Feier immediately asked, "Didn't you say you weren't going to Sichuan?" Even Wei Shuer looked at Xiao Yangtian with a puzzled expression. Nangong Qingjun mentioned that they had already found a place to stay and invited Xiao Yangtian to join them for a rest. In order to avoid getting involved with Nangong Feier, Xiao Yangtian directly refused. At that moment, a guard approached and reminded them that there were no extra rooms left in the village. They still have to live with the Nangong family members. Xiao Yangtian knows that after Nangong Feier became a demon, the first thing she did was destroy her own Nangong family. She left no survivors, neither the family head, her younger brother, nor any disciples. Thus, she also earned the title Demon Sword. Xiao Yangtian really can't understand why she would do such a thing. And now, she seems to have a good relationship with Leilong. Judging by the strength Nangong Feier showed last time, he should be stronger than Leilong, but he has no title or reputation in the martial world. Xiao Yangtian thought Nangong Feier's brother, Leilong, seemed normal. As Xiao Yangtian stepped out, he happened to run into Leilong. Nangong Qingjun. Xiao Yangtian greeted him. He thanked him for arranging rooms for them. Nangong Qingjun brushed past Xiao Yangtian without a word. He also reminded Xiao Yangtian to be mindful of his identity. Xiao Yangtian still didn't understand what was going on. Nangong Qingjun solemnly told Xiao Yangtian that based on his abilities, he should not speak to his sister in the future. He warned Xiao Yangtian that if he continued to confuse himself, his sister would tear him to pieces, and that dead girl writing on his sister. At that moment, Nangong Feier opened the door. Nangong Qingjun smiled again and told Chiu Yangtian that hosting young Master Chiu was his pleasure. With that, Nangong Qingjun pushed Nangong Fair away. Chiu Yangtian now realized that these people were all a bunch of lunatics. At that moment, a guard approached. Chiu Yangtian asked how long it would be before they could depart. The guard replied that they could leave after breakfast. Chiu Yangtian was relieved that the guard was still sane. All Chiu Yangtian wanted was to finish breakfast and get away from the Nangong family as soon as possible. Upon opening the door, he found Nangong Fair and Wei Shuer together. Chiu Yangtian couldn't understand why Wei Shuer was sitting with Nangong Fair to eat. Chiu Yangtian had to remind her that Nangong Fair's seat wasn't on this side. Look, your brother's glare could practically kill. Nangong Fair turned her head in disbelief. Nangong Qingjun instantly put on a cheerful smile. Chiu Yangtian thought it would all be fine once Tang Bing's event was over. He hurriedly ate 2 buns and got ready to leave. Wei Shuer immediately followed. Nangong Fair also wanted to follow, but she held back. At that moment, a foul smell rushed in. This made Nangong Fair instinctively cover her nose. Nangong Qingjun also walked over. He asked Nangong Fair why she was sitting here. From Nangong Fair's perspective, Nangong Qingjun is nothing but a collection of foulness. Nangong Fair reminded him to get in the right place next time. In Nangong Fair's eyes, only by Chiu Yangtian's side is there no stench. He barely ate breakfast before preparing to leave. Just like that, Nangong Fair followed Chiu Yangtian again. Thunder Dragon Nangong Qingjun cursed this bothersome group, counting on his fingers. Chiu Yangtian asked Nangong Fair why she was still following them. Nangong Fair mentioned she didn't follow the instructions to leave together. Chiu Yangtian mentioned again, then why didn't you leave with your companions? Just as Nangong Fair was about to explain, Wei Shuer popped up and said that she brought her here. Angry, Chiu Yangtian wanted to throw Wei Shuer off the carriage. After that, they arrived in Sichuan. The Tang men of Sichuan is a prestigious righteous sect that has been rooted in Sichuan for several centuries. Sharp as the Nangong family, dominant like the Pang family of Hebei, delicate like the Morong clan. Although the Tang family can't compare with other clans, it is undoubtedly the best in central China when it comes to iron and poison. Chiu Yangtian is contemplating how to locate the treasure within the 3 days of the Tang soldiers exhibition. The only clue he has is that the treasure is near the Tang family grounds. But how could he possibly find it in such a vast area? Just then, Wei Shuer's scream startled Chiu Yangtian. Wei Shuer mentioned it was her first time coming to a place this high up. She asked Chiu Yangtian to look below to see the fireflies. Then she said there was a beautiful lake down there. She even insisted that Chiu Yangtian go down with her to see it. After they got down, they realized it was only a small pond. Chiu Yangtian was exasperated. He could only give Wei Shuer a playful knock on the head. He couldn't imagine how big this hall could really be. At this moment, Wei Shuer was still joking with Chiu Yangtian while holding 2 flowers. Wei Shuer mentioned that he also wanted to make the young master a bit happier. Chiu Yangtian asked Wei Shuer how to find the treasure if it were hidden here. With a straight face, Wei Shuer complained about why treasures had to be hidden. At that moment, someone stepped forward and shouted, "Who are you? This is not a place for idle people to come and go freely." Chiu Yangtian also recalled who this woman was. In his previous life, he single-handedly repelled thousands of demons. She is indeed the poison consort, Tang Shalai. She is also the woman Chiu Yangtian killed in a past life. Chiu Yangtian approaches the dying poison consort, questioning her if this is the end. The poison consort also recognizes this familiar voice. Chiu Yangtian asks her, "What can staying here change?" The poison consort knows that nothing can be changed. Chiu Yangtian asks him again why he is doing this. The poisonous concubine retorts, asking Chiu Yangtian why he came here. Chiu Yangtian grabs him by the throat. "Of course, I came here to kill you." The poisonous concubine apologizes to Chiu Yangtian. She says she is sorry to him because he only sees certain things after losing his eyes. It's better to let go sooner. Chiu Yangtian asks him, "Is that all for your last words?" The poison consort mentions that if there's time, she hopes Chiu Yangtian will still twist her neck in the end. He then turns and walks away. Looking at the hand that broke her neck, he feels disgusted with himself. The current poison consort, Tang Shalai, keeps asking Chiu Yangtian why he's silent. Chiu Yangtian looks at the present poison consort. "I just feel that the other person is like a child." At that moment, a hand was placed on Tang Shalia's shoulder. Nangong Fair was whispering something in his ear. After that, Tang Shalai introduced himself to Chiu Yangtian. He also apologized. Chiu Yangtian introduced himself as Chiu Juai. Tang Shalai then asked Chiu Yangtian why he was here. "Because this is a place that requires permission to enter." Realizing this, Chiu Yangtian is also ready to leave. After Chiu Yangtian and Wei Shuer leave, Tang Shalai comments on how rude the enemies were, making mistakes and running off without apologizing. Do they think they're impressive just because they're good-looking? Those who rely on their looks are so annoying. Nangong Fair watches Tang Shalai as he keeps talking, and, realizing he misspoke, he hurriedly clarifies that he didn't mean Fair is good-looking. Nangong Fair couldn't remember what was so good-looking about Chiu Yangtian. Tang Shalai still couldn't help but say that gentle people are better when he was leaving. The day before the Tang martial arts exhibition was about to start, Chiu Yangtian prepared to cultivate a bit to pass the time. Nangong Fair and Nangong Qingjun came over to ask Chiu Yangtian. What was going on? Nangong Fair took a long time to say just one word, food. Nangong Qingjun enthusiastically came to his rescue. Tangmen invited everyone to dinner. Your sister hopes you'll come too. Xiao Yangtian, smiling, said he's a bit shy. He thought saying this would make them understand. Nangong Qingjun pulled Xiao Yangtian over. He invited Xiao Yangtian again to join them. Xiao Yangtian still couldn't understand what this guy was up to. Even if he didn't want to go, he was being dragged along. Xiao Yangtian couldn't bear it any longer and unleashed his inner power. He took a stance as if he was ready to fight Nangong Qingjun. Nangong Qingjun had no choice but to let go. The atmosphere suddenly turned awkward. Xiao Yangtian realized he couldn't refuse anymore and decided to attend the banquet. Xiao Yangtian pulled Nangong Qingjun close. Speak to him softly and remind him to watch his expression. Management, your sister is watching. Nangong Qingjun is very angry, but he can't explode. The coffee table in the Tang family's living room is filled with spicy food. This makes Xiao Yangtian unable to eat at all. After a few pleasantries, the young master of the Tang family, Tang Joey, the banquet begins. This is the first time Xiao Yangtian has seen a red steamed bun. He is ready to give it a try. He notices that someone is staring at him, unless it's Tang Shalai looking at him with an inexplicable gaze. In his past life, every time he saw him, it was this kind of gaze. In this life, it's still the same. Xiao Yangtian takes a bite of the red bun. It instantly burned his mouth unbearably, but he couldn't spit it out. Tang Shalai blushed even more at the sight. Xiao Yangtian really couldn't handle such spicy food. Someone nearby handed Xiao Yangtian a teacup. They even told Xiao Yangtian which foods weren't spicy. That person was none other than Nangong Fair. This gesture struck a chord with Xiao Yangtian. Nangong Qingjun was trembling with anger at the sight. He directly snapped his chopsticks. Tang Zhou joked, saying that the Tang family's chopsticks weren't sturdy. Nangong Qingjun could only explain that he wasn't good at using chopsticks. At this moment, Tang Shalai sat right next to Xiao Yangtian. Xiao Yangtian had no idea what was going on. Xiao Yangtian asked Tang Shalai why he kept staring at him. Do you have something to say? Tang Shalai hurriedly explained that he didn't. At this moment, Tang Shalai asked Xiao Yangtian if there was someone he liked. Nangong Qingjun interrupted him loudly. Cousin, is that a training ground down there? Tang Joey explained that it was the Tang family's private training ground, but it hadn't been used since it was built. Nangong Qingjun said he wanted to go take a look. Tang Joey followed his words and said that after the meal, everyone would go watch together. Xiao Yangtian has already noticed. What is Nangong Qingjun's purpose? Xiao Yangtian had to admit that the Tang family's training ground was indeed very large. Tang Joey explained that the ancestors believed a larger space would be better. Nangong Qingjun agreed with this point. Tang Joey also mentioned that when Shalai was young, he often insisted on having competitions. They had used it several times. Tang Shalai suddenly felt shy and couldn't speak. Nangong Qingjun, drawing his weapon, said that after eating, one should digest it. He asked Xiao Yangtian if he wanted to have a match with him. Xiao Yangtian realized that Nangong Qingjun was looking for an excuse to take him down. Xiao Yangtian hurriedly denied that he dared to spar with Thunder Dragon. Just as he was about to refuse, Tang Shalai first helped Xiao Yangtian decline Qingjun. The young master and young master Qiu are very different in both age and skill. What if we accidentally hurt our faces? Nangong Qingjun suggests not using inner strength against each other, treating it more like a guided sparring session, and then provocatively asks Xiao Yangtian what he thinks. Xiao Yangtian can't stand Nangong Qingjun's attitude anymore, and immediately challenges if Nangong Qingjun is even skilled enough. Tang Joey quickly steps in, saying that no matter what, Qingjun is still a senior. Nangong Qingjun waved his hand to interrupt Tang Joey. He wanted to see just how powerful Xiao Yangtian really was. The martial arts contest officially began. Nangong Qingjun let Xiao Yangtian attack first. Xiao Yangtian instead let Nangong Qingjun attack first. This made Nangong Qingjun grind his teeth in anger. He charged straight at Xiao Yangtian. Xiao Yangtian easily sidestepped. Nangong Qingjun has launched a series of attacks. Xiao Yangtian has seen through it. These two attacks are the real offensive from Yanggong. It's just beginning now. Tang Shalai stared intently at this scene. He has been different since childhood. While other kids were still chasing after cats and dogs, he was already chasing tigers. Fierce eyes, sharp teeth, exuding an air of inviolability. Tang Shalai likes powerful male animals. He hopes to encounter a man like a mantis at the Tangbing exhibition. He doesn't understand why everyone likes to focus on looks. He thought there were no men like the mantis in this world, until he met a true love he could never have in his lifetime. Just looking at him makes my heart race and my cheeks flush. The other person seems to be just an ordinary young master from a noble family. In young master Tang's eyes, Xiao Yangtian seems to be glowing. His every action is so charming. Before I knew it, I was sitting beside Xiao Yangtian. By the time I realized it, it was already too late. I was preparing to get to know him better when the broken sword flew over. With a bang, the broken sword pierced straight into the ground. Both Nangong Fair and Tang Shalai looked shocked. hardly believing what they were seeing. Lei Long Nangong Qingjuan's sword had broken. Xiao Yangtian looked at him with disdain. Tang Xiaolai, stunned, felt his legs go weak. He slumped down. Nangong Qingjun didn't know how the sword broke. He had indeed held back in the first two moves, but even with all his effort in the later moves, he couldn't defeat his opponent. If this were real combat, you would have died 3 times already. Xiao Yangtian said this and then threw a punch at Nangong Qingjun. But Nangong Qingjun directly avoided Xiao Yangtian. Remind him to pick a better weapon. After all, you should give something in return for guidance. Nangong Qingjun gritted his teeth in anger. Xiao Yangtian taunted further, saying, "Let me guide you. It's not impossible." At that moment, Nangong Qingjun channeled his charm directly. Xiao Yangtian noticed it too. Surrounded by lightning, Nangong Qingjun turned into a streak of light. Xiao Yangtian managed to evade this attack. Xiao Yangtian was furious. His opponent even dared to use charm. Nangong Qingjun channeled his inner power. Countless sword auras surged toward Xiao Yangtian, but all of them were shattered by Xiao Yangtian. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The person before him was actually stronger. Xiao Yangtian spoke slowly. "Do you know? I've put up with you long enough." Xiao Yangtian quickly dodged and closed the distance. He delivered a kick to Nangong Qingjuan's groin. The kick landed precisely on a certain spot. Nangong Feier's eyes widened in shock. Tang Zhou wanted to stop him but couldn't. Tang Xiaolai covered his mouth in shock, while Nangong Qingjun felt an intense, excruciating pain, followed by a cracking sound, as something shattered on the ground. Nangong Qingjun clutched his groin weakly, but his eyes still burned with anger. Xiao Yangtian mocked. Did it actually break? The intense pain made Nangong Qingjun howl in agony. He still looks like he won't admit defeat. He says Xiao Yangtian is a despicable guy. He also said he would tell all the noble families about this, so that Xiao Yangtian can't hold his head up. Xiao Yangtian suddenly questioned Nangong Qingjun about how many he had killed. At least around 10, right? Nangong Qingjun still didn't understand what Xiao Yangtian meant. Xiao Yangtian directly seized Nangong Qingjun's right hand, preparing to break him. Tang Zhou stopped Xiao Yangtian. He told him to end it here. Xiao Yangtian mentioned this guy secretly used inner strength and even spoke without restraint. Do you really think this kind of person is fine? Tang Zhou warned Xiao Yangtian that he's from the Nangong family. No one knows what might happen next. Xiao Yangtian explained. Because he is one of the Nangong family, he has always let him go. What if they swapped identities? This left Tang Zhou with no way out. He could only sigh deeply. Xiao Yangtian directly broke Nangong Qingjuan's arm. Then he left indifferently. But after taking just 2 steps, he felt something was off. Did he get himself into trouble again? If he told Elderly that he injured the young master of the Nangong family, he probably wouldn't mind, right? Xiao Yangtian thought it would be fine as long as someone was present. At that moment, a hand grabbed Xiao Yangtian. Nangong Feier asked Xiao Yangtian to tell him his name. Xiao Yangtian forcefully shook off Nangong Feier. Didn't you say you weren't going to take revenge for your brother? Nangong Feier pointed out that Xiao Yangtian was lying. Xiao Yangtian thought Nangong Feier was going to take revenge for her brother. But at this moment, seeing her brother beaten like that, Nangong Feier showed no emotional response. Nangong Feier grabbed Xiao Yangtian's hands, forcing him to tell her his real name. In the face of such a scene, Xiao Yangtian is helpless. Xiao Yangtian asks Nangong Feier if she'll stop following him if he tells her. Nangong Feier nods in agreement, looking as if she understands. After thinking for a while, Xiao Yangtian decides to reveal his real name, Xiao Yangtian. Nangong Feier blushes, repeating his name. After that, since he's now posing as Nangong Qingjun, it's hard for Xiao Yangtian to attend the Tangbing exhibition. He takes this opportunity to search for the treasure. He couldn't imagine what would happen if the guards found out he had crippled the Nangong family's young master. Meanwhile, on the other side, the guards were anxiously searching for the young master. Xiao Yangtian asked Wei Shuer if she had seen him. Of course, Wei Shuer didn't know. Then, the guard explained to Wei Shuer that the young master hadn't returned after his meal. The guard was still troubled about how to report to the family that he had struck the Nangong family's young master. A glimmer flashed in Wei Shuer's eyes. Jin Guan gazes forward with a sorrowful expression. The Jinchuan Yen family was once the wealthiest merchant clan in the martial world. Not only did they have powerful guardians, but they also controlled the economic lifeline of the Central Plains. But one day, the entire Jinchuan Yen family suddenly vanished. According to records, the Jinchuan Yen family's treasure was left beneath a white maple tree. Xiao Yangtian searched the mountain for a long time but couldn't find the white maple tree. Xiao Yangtian complained about where the white maple tree came from in autumn. At this moment, Xiao Yangtian was also hungry. The buns he had earlier were too spicy. He didn't eat anything. It was a waste of effort. After practicing, he still had to climb the mountain. At that moment, Wei Shuer handed over the medicinal fruit. Xiao Yang subconsciously said that Zhu Shuer is still somewhat useful at a time like this. Wei Shuer defended herself, saying she's not a pig. Wei Shuer, who helped out, scratched her head. Once he realized, Xiao Yang immediately questioned why he was here. Wei Shuer chuckled. She took out the food from her back. She also explained that she found this place by feeling. As long as Schwer is here, the young master won't have to worry anymore. Xiao Yangtian quickly urged him to sit down, afraid that dust might fall into the food. Xiao Yangtian muttered that the white maple tree was indeed a lie. Wei Schwer immediately disagreed, saying she had just seen it, and it looked beautiful. Xiao Yangtian was stunned on the spot. He immediately asked where she had seen it. Wei Schwer explained that she and the young master had looked at it before. Xiao Yangtian looked utterly baffled. Then, Wei Schwer led Xiao Yangtian to an old, withered tree. Xiao Yangtian couldn't believe the tree in front of him was a white maple tree. He waved his hand in front of Wei Schwer's eyes, asking if she had seen it wrong. As Xiao Yangtian was about to leave, Wei Schwer said seriously that she wasn't lying. In her previous life, Wei Schwer was certain the white maple tree was here. White energy appeared around him. After Xiao Yangtian confirmed that there was no white maple tree, he prepared to return and find Elder Li to train. Wei Schwer tore open a rift in space with her hand. Xiao Yangtian immediately called out for Wei Schwer to stand guard. He clearly felt that it was very dangerous over there. The crack became larger and larger after Wei Schwer poked it open. A blue light flashed by. A small space. After the crack was broken open, it turned into a huge fissure. A white maple tree also appeared before Xiao Yangtian. Wei Schwer also turned to look at Xiao Yangtian, confirm with him that this is the right place. Although Xiao Yangtian didn't know what was going on, he guessed that this was something Wei Schwer had done that led to the spatial split. He asked Wei Schwer how she managed to do it. Wei Schwer feigned ignorance and said she didn't know. Xiao Yangtian said he saw her place her hand on it. Wei Schwer continued to act clueless. Xiao Yangtian is frustrated but also helpless. He decides to wait until they're back to settle this. Xiao Yangtian carefully inspects around the white maple tree. Behind the tree, he discovers a massive black hole. Wei Schwer explains that it's the entrance. As she says this, she jumps in. She urges Xiao Yangtian to follow quickly. Xiao Yangtian grits his teeth. You can only choose to follow along. After Xiao Yangtian jumped down, a man also arrived here. He was still cursing about something. Xiao Yangtian was glad it wasn't too high. That's really good. Xiao Yangtian told Wei Schwer not to act recklessly. It's too dangerous. Two openings appeared before them. Xiao Yangtian didn't know which way to go, so Wei Schwer pointed in a direction. Then Xiao Yangtian followed Wei Schwer to an entrance. Xiao Yangtian thought of Wei Schwer today. Something felt strange about her. Wei Schwer also mentioned that the young master was willing to listen to her today. She called him a good young master. At this moment, the man who had been following them also caught up. Xiao Yangtian kept following Wei Schwer's Sahog, but he couldn't sense an end at all. Wei Schwer told Xiao Yangtian to just trust her, so they walked to a pitch-black place. Xiao Yangtian couldn't help but punch Wei Schwer on the head. How did she bring him to this place? Even the luminous pearls here had lost their light, and there's nothing in this room. Wei Schwer patted Xiao Yangtian on the shoulder. He felt as if something was there. Wei Schwer shuddered in fright. A white creature was swimming around. Xiao Yangtian quickly shielded Wei Schwer behind him. A huge white python appeared in front of them. This terrified Xiao Yangtian and Wei Schwer.